Part 2. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 11. After finally helping him put on the swimming cap, Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. The door of the bathroom was closed, and in the shower, Director Zheng put the refrigerator away, and reported, "The temperature inside has dropped to 16 degrees, and it is still dropping. If Captain Fu is ready, you can go in, give me a signal after entering, and I will start the timer." Fu Nanli reached out to pull the tie of the nightgown, and Wen Qiao turned around immediately. The rustling of the fabric seemed to ring in her ears, and a nightgown with his body temperature was thrown on her shoulder. "Take it." The smell of tobacco mixed with the smell of special male hormones penetrated into her nose, and Wen Qiao felt a little tormented. Soon the sound of the shower falling was heard. Director Zheng's voice sounded, "The temperature inside shows 0, has Captain Fu started?" "Start." The timer clicked and clicked in the confined space. Out of the corner of her eye, Wen Qiao caught a glimpse of Director Zheng, and whispered, "How long will it take?" 0 degrees, rinse with cold water for 5 minutes. Wen Qiao's eyes widened. Cold water. Director Zheng laughed softly, "Of course, otherwise can it be called low temperature resistance test?" Wen Qiao instinctively looked back. The lower half of the shower room was made of frosted glass, while the upper half was made of transparent glass. The cold water rushed down his head, and his muscles could be vaguely seen. They were not the kind of big man trained in the gym, but very smooth and graceful. The lines from practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This kind of him is like a work of art, displayed in a transparent glass cabinet, like a god. People only dare to look at it from a distance. 5 minutes seemed a long time, and the man stood under the shower like a statue, motionless. There is no water vapor in it at all, and the temperature has obviously dropped to freezing point. Imagine jumping into ice water in severe winter, and she will be shocked instantly. With a click, Director Zheng pressed the timer. "Captain Fu, the time is up." Seeing that the man turned off the shower and was about to come out, Wen Qiao quickly turned around again, and came behind her with a cold and damp body. She could feel his shortness of breath due to the cold, and his icy fingers fell on the over her shoulder. "Pick up the nightgown." King Yu's voice came, "It's ready, you can turn around." Wen Qiao turned around, and the man's slender fingers were slowly fastening the laces, and he reached out and tore off the swimming cap casually. His slightly wet hair drooped, sexy and lazy. Chief Zheng measured his blood pressure and dictated, "The resting blood pressure does not exceed 18.4/11.7 kPa, 138/88 mm, which is qualified, so I will go out first." Wen Qiao wanted to retreat with Chief Zheng, but the man grabbed his wrist and pressed him against the wall. "Why don't you dare to look at it?" There was a bit of teasing in his eyes. Wen Qiao whispered, "We haven't reached that point yet." "How far has it come?" "Just holding hands." "Be conservative." "Hand in hand?" "How long have we been talking?" As they spoke, the two breathed together, and Wen Qiao was a little distracted. "We been talking for a year." Fu Nanli narrowed his eyes slightly. "It's been a year, and it's only time to hold hands. What kind of primary school chicken-style innocent love is this?" Wen Qiao was a little anxious, "Because I'm still young, you are more of a gentleman." "Mother, how many more lies does she have to tell?" "How old is it?" His slender fingers walked on her cheeks, and finally pinched her chin lightly. The skin was so smooth that he couldn't put it down. 19. The man clicked his tongue softly, "So small. He looks like a beast." Wen Qiao nodded obediently. "Fate can't be stopped, love knows no age." "How did you know each other?" "Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 12. Last summer, on a rainy day, Wutong Trail, you were sitting in the car, and when you passed a puddle, the water splashed all over me on the side of the road. I went up to argue with you, and that's how I got to know you. Wen Qiao crossed her fingers, and at the end, she lowered her eyes. I'm sorry, but my imagination is a bit poor. I can only come up with such plots. I hope Mr. Fu won't be disgusted. The man chuckled and pinched her face. Got it, come out. Wen Qiao grabbed his big hand. We've been talking secretly before, but now they all know about it. I guess the people around you don't believe that we are in a relationship. They must be against you being with me, so. So what? So please just trust me, okay? She looked at Fu Nanli nervously. The man leaned forward slightly, his elbows pressed against the wall beside her, the neckline of his bathrobe was slightly open, and his smell surrounded her. There was aggression hidden in his eyes, and Wen Qiao tried hard to look directly at him. He grabbed her hand, turned around, with a deep and clear voice. Okay, I only trust you. While Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief, she also felt a little guilty. After all, she was the only one who lied to him. She'd try to find some other way of surviving, then she could tell the truth and leave him, and only hoped she'd find some other way before things turned sour. After leaving the bathroom, Zheng Piedong signed a physical examination form, and the next 2 high-level aviation bureaus also signed. Su Shen said, the rest of the hospitals will issue a detailed medical examination report, and I will submit it to the Air Traffic Management Bureau at that time. Zheng Piedong and others said, excuse me, Captain Fu, thank you for your cooperation. Fu Nanli nodded slightly, and those people came out in a file. Su Shen and Zhao Yuan were still standing by the bed. Fu Nanli's eyes were cold. Is there anything else? The meaning of rushing off is clear at a glance. The two hurriedly said, it's okay, let's go now. The two left the ward in a panic. Chi breathed a sigh of relief. Su Shen looked back and said, that little girl looks a little young. Zhao Yuan said, but it's really beautiful, even more beautiful than He Qian, the #1 beauty of Dongchuan Airlines. Well, she's so pretty without makeup, but it's amazing when she's dressed up. In the ward, Fu Nanli was a little cold because of the long time flushing of cold water in the low-temperature environment. Wen Qiao graciously poured him a cup of hot water. How about you take a rest? Fu Nanli responded lightly, N. Then let me tell you, I will leave when you fall asleep, and I may not come over tomorrow, because I have to fill out the college entrance examination application. The man's voice is magnetic, got it? In her previous life, she didn't go on the day she filled out her volunteer application, because she was brainwashed by Sulu and felt that the world had the greatest self-esteem, and she must rely on her own hands to improve poor families. Thinking about it now, she was really stupid at the time. Back at the door, just in time to meet Wen Qi and Wen Mo coming back from school. Her twin brother is 15 years old this year and is in the second year of junior high school. Although he is only 15, he is already close to 180 in height, and both of them are extremely handsome. Wen Mo looks like a clean boy with pure and gentle eyes. Wen Qi had a three-dimensional outline, but his gray-blue curly hairstyle was really an eyesore in Wen Qiao's eyes. Although Wen Mo suffers from autism, he is also a top student in 9th middle school, and he always comes first in his grade. And Wen Qi is the school bully of the 9th middle school, learning the tail of the crane, and fighting back and forth is not lacking in his figure. Now he has an ice cream in his mouth, carrying his school bag in a dawdly manner, followed by a few people with colorful hairstyles. The little brother urged, Brother Qi, hurry up, you're going to be late and you won't have a chance. Wen Qi went into his room while unbuttoning his school uniform. I'll come right away to change. Wearing the uniform of a junior high school student cannot enter an internet cafe. After changing into a white t-shirt, Wen Qi ran out in a hurry. Wen Qiao lifted a stick, leaned against the doorframe, and said lazily, stop for me. Sister Qiao wants to teach her younger brother to be a man in society. In addition, good news, this book is on the new book list. It was on the list within 4 days after it was published. You guys are doing great. The third update will start tomorrow. Everyone should vote and leave messages more enthusiastically. Let us work hard to rise. Love you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 13. When Kai's mania, the technical term is actually called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, mainly manifests as hypervigilance, increased startle response, accompanied by inattention, increased irritability, and anxiety. At that time, when Mo was 4 years old, could not speak, and was diagnosed with autism. When Jianmin thought it was her mother's family's mental disease gene, so he filed for divorce. At first her mother wanted to save the marriage. But when Jianmin swears at the 4-year-old children every day, calling them crazy and when Mo an idiot, her mother couldn't bear it, and worried that it would hurt the children even more in the long run, so she led the 3 of them out of Wen's house. After that, when Mo's autism became more and more serious, and when she gradually developed PTSD, and it was easy to lose control of his emotions at the slightest stimulation. When he was 18 years old, he took care of the gangsters who bullied when Mo accidentally beat one of them and went to jail. At this moment, the warm light of dusk passed over the eaves and refracted into a strange angle behind him. The boy's sharp-edged face was dripping with sweat, and he stood in front of her. She had mixed feelings in her heart, and her eye circles were reddish. Wen Xiao, what are you doing? He spat out the small wooden stick of the popsicle on the ground, and Wen Qi had doubts in his eyes. Wen Xiao weighed the wooden stick in his hand. You are only 15 years old and underage. You are not allowed to go to internet cafes. The boys with colorful hairstyles laughed at the door and whistled. Hey, Brother Qi, your sister is very strict with you. The young man's face was shaved, and he couldn't hold back his face. He suppressed his voice and said, Wen Xiao, get up for me. The face of a school bully cannot be trampled on, and neither can my own sister. Wen Xiao clenched the stick tightly in his hand. If you want to go to the internet cafe, you have to beat me first. Wen Qi was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. Wen Xiao, what kind of crazy are you? The younger brothers are whispering, did Brother Kai's sister get stimulated by something? That's right, it's no problem for us Brother Qi to pick 6 out of 6, and they are all social brothers with explosive force values, his sister. Wen Qi poked his sister's shoulder perfunctorily. Wen Xiao, don't make trouble, get out of here. But he couldn't move it. His sister was as steady as a rock. In the next second, Wen Xiao grabbed his wrist, and quickly reached his shoulder with the other hand. Fall. Brother Qi was thrown to the ground by his own sister in a 1v6 society. He lay on the ground, a little suspicious of life. Responding to a bounce, he jumped up from the ground and began to challenge his sister seriously, then rushed up, and fell over the shoulder again. Which mountain does his sister worship as a teacher? Why is the force value so amazing? His followers just watched Qi Ji being thrown over by his sister, and their hearts trembled. Brother Kai's sister turned out to be a ruthless character. When Qi wailed, and the younger brothers rushed forward to help, but it was just to give away the head. Everyone was beaten to pieces. Wen Xiao beat them like chopping cabbage. After a while, the 5 of them were lying on the ground and rolling, all with bruised noses and swollen faces. Wen Xiao threw the stick in his hand, and everyone shook in unison. Wen Mo rarely smiled. Wen Xiao stepped forward and pulled Wen Qi up. Follow me to the barber shop. Wen Qi, whose face was swollen like a pig's head, said vaguely, Go, why go to the barber shop? Dye my hair back to black, and if you dare to dye me this non-mainstream hair color, today's severe beating will make you think about it. Wen Qi leaned over to Wen Qiao and begged for mercy in a low voice, "Sister, save me some face, I'm the bully of number 9 high school, and my brothers are all here. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 14. Wen Qiao looked back at his brothers. "What do you mean? Do you want to dye your hair?" Everyone struggled to get up, and while patting the dust off their bodies, respectfully said, Ran, listen to Sister Qiao." In the barber shop, the dusk light shines in through the glass windows, and the problematic students are sitting on the sofa in a row, occasionally glancing at Wen Qiao with a guilty conscience. Wen Qiao politely communicated with teacher Tony, help them dye their hair back to black, thank you gone. Wen Kai's best buddy is Xiaobo. He was the first to dye his hair, and Wen Qiao called him out the door. In summer, the phoenix trees are lush, the sun sets, and the earth is dim. If Wen Qi fights again in the future, you have to stop him, do you hear me? Xiaobai felt wronged. Sister Qiao, how can I hold back brother Qi? Then call me. If Wen Qi has any violent tendencies, you can call me immediately. Do you hear me? Xiaobai obediently said, I heard that, Miss Qiao. Both Wen Kai's traumatic stress disorder and Wen Mo's autism needed to be treated by a psychiatrist, so she asked Wen Jianmin for money. That is what Wen Jianmin owed them. Wen Qiao stood at the door of the barber shop, and the boys with dyed black hair walked past her one by one, bowed, and said obediently, Goodbye, Sister Qiao. If you dare to push Wen Qi to go to the internet cafe again, I don't dare, Sister Qiao, we don't dare anymore. Wen Qi was the last one to get dyed, and one of the rich second-generation boys paid for everything and ran away in a hurry. Wen Qi put his hands in the pockets of his loose school uniform pants, and walked up to Wen Qiao. When did you learn Kung Fu? Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows. You think everyone looks like you, but I'm hiding something. The boy has short black hair, without the cover of the hair. His eyebrows and eyes look sharp, clean and handsome. Wen Jianmin's abandoned child is the glory of Wen Qiao's heart. Go home. Along the long sycamore path, the street lights came on one after another, and Wen Qiao told Wen Qi not to fight in the future, not to surf the internet, but to study hard. Wen Kai's left ear went in and out of his right ear, as if he didn't care. Wen Qiao didn't expect to be able to achieve it overnight, so take your time. There may be disease factors in their family's genes, but there are also genius factors. From childhood to adulthood, she didn't need to study hard at all, and she could get good grades in the exam every time. The same is true for Wen Mo, so Wen Qi should be similar. At present, he just can't concentrate. When he gradually overcomes these symptoms, I believe it is not difficult to get into a key high school. Wen Qiao had already made up her mind about her college entrance examination application. She was going to apply for the folk music department of the Central Conservatory of Music, and her pipa skills had already reached the level of perfection. In the morning, when Mo went to school, her mother went to work. Wen Qiao finished breakfast, changed into a t-shirt and jeans, casually tied a ponytail, washed her face, and squeezed out a big treasure that cost 7 yuan apiece. The point patted the face. Lu Yuyu's voice came, Qiao. Wen Qiao picked up the pipa on the sofa and put it in the piano bag, and Lu Yuyu pushed the door open and entered. Jojo, don't tell me to go to school like this. Wen Qiao pulled the zipper of the gig bag, looked down at herself. What's wrong? There is an interview with Yanjin in the afternoon, don't you know? I know. You know that Sulu will also attend the interview, right? Well, what's the matter? Lu Yuyu took her hand and walked to the closet. You wear a beautiful little dress for me, Dad wants you to be the most beautiful. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 15. The school belle of 9th middle school is Sulu. Sulu looks pure and pure. A child of 17 or 18 years old doesn't like Wen Qiao's troublesome appearance. They say she is a precourt peony, coquettish and beyond compare. Sulu's style was more appetizing to them, so when choosing the school belle, Wen Qiao wasn't even qualified to be shortlisted. During the election of the school belle, Lu Yuyu had to talk to her classmates every day. Look at our Qiao Qiao, if you look at the city of people, and then look at the country, it's not a loss to buy shares. It's only majestic and talented if you pull out the school belle with this kind of appearance, crushing other schools. However, the results were minimal, and Wen Qiao was not eligible to be shortlisted. Lu Yuyu comforted Wen Qiao, saying that everyone's aesthetics will become normal after arriving at university. You are 100 times prettier than Sulu. When you go to university, you will definitely be the school belle. Wen Qiao doesn't have much obsession with the school belle, not the school belle. I heard that Sulu spent a lot of money to buy students who can talk, and that's why she was selected as the school belle. She has worked so hard. If she doesn't let her get what she wants, she might burst into tears. 9 high school. At the school gate, Wen Qiao felt a little uncomfortable. Lu Yuyu not only asked her to put on a white dress, but also let her loosen her hair. He even brought a curling iron to help her style it, and even put BB cream on her, put on lipstick, and wanted to draw her eyeliner, but she was not used to it. As soon as the eyeliner poked her eyelids, she burst into tears, so Lu Yuyu had no choice but to give up. Lu Yuyu admired her perfect masterpiece. Even with just a layer of lipstick on, our Qiao Qiao is already so beautiful that it makes people dizzy. Today, Sulu must know what it means to be born beautiful and hard to give up. A black Mercedes-Benz was parked at the school gate, and Sulu and Zhonghui got out of the car together. Zhonghui naturally saw Wen Qiao, and deliberately helped Sulu cut her hair. Your Uncle Wen will be there to support you in the interview this afternoon. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Lu Yuyu rolled her eyes at the mother and daughter without hesitation, and whispered, Wen Jianmin is as devoted to his stepdaughter as always. Wen Qiao tugged the strap of the piano bag, and dragged Lu Yuyu to the campus. Under the shade of the prosperous trees, Sulu saw Wen Qiao at a glance. She felt as if she was facing an enemy. In the past, Wen Qiao wore school uniform all the year round, wore the cheapest pull-back sneakers, and a canvas bag that was washed until it turned white. The ponytail is naturally not comparable to her various hairstyles and nude makeup that seem to be casual but have been thought out. But when Wen Qiao dresses up a little, her beauty will not be enough, and she is self-aware of this. And she had already persuaded Wen Qiao to go to a bar to find a job as a resident singer a few days ago, so why did she insist on filling out the application like a different person in a blink of an eye? She hurriedly chased after him, and the moment Wen Qiao turned around, the visually oppressive beauty made her clenched her fist unconsciously. Ah, Wen Qiao, you still wear makeup? You even do your hair. Although the college entrance examination is over, isn't our school not letting students wear makeup? Lu Yuyu sneered, Sulu, why are you pretending to be stupid? In the past 3 years, which day did you go to school without makeup? Sulu became anxious immediately, her face turned red. What nonsense are you talking about? How can I wear makeup? BB cream, inner eyeliner, nude pink lipstick, by the way, and eyelashes. Straight men can't see it. Do you think I can't see it? What kind of vegan makeup? Being exposed mercilessly in this way, Sulu's face turned red and pale, and she held Wen Qiao's hand. Wen Qiao pushed away in disgust. Wen Qiao, I have something to tell you, can you come with me? Speak here if you have something to say. Sulu took out a bank card from her school bag. Uncle Wen was very angry with you at first, but I persuaded him for a long time, and he finally calmed down most of his anger and was willing to make a compromise. You each give in. 200 won is too exaggerated. Uncle Wen's company needs money everywhere. I won the 50,000 yuan for you, you take this money, go to apologize to Uncle Wen, and this matter will be over, okay. 3 chapters here. For me who is so diligent, should you reward me with a recommendation ticket? I will read every comment, thank you little cuties for your support. Then ask for a recommendation ticket every day. It is possible to add more than 5,000 chapters, that is, 4 chapters, and 5 chapters. Leave all the recommendation tickets to me, okay. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 16. Wen Qiao would always be laughed at by this Miss Balian. 50,000 yuan? Want her to apologize to Wen Jianmin? Ms. Balian probably thinks that she is a great and kind person, and she is too comfortable in the position of Pacific Police. Lu Yuyu was furious, snatched the Union Pay card from Su Lu's hand, and smashed it on her face. Wen Jianmin bought a piano for your stepdaughter for 200,000 yuan, who are you ruining with 50,000 yuan, what? You're still moving yourself, aren't you? Take your 50,000 yuan and get out of here, and if you dare to insult Qiao Qiao again, I don't mind getting a demerit penalty on the occasion of graduation. After speaking, he began to roll up his sleeves. Su Lu picked up the Union Pay card on the ground aggrievedly, and said with red eyes, I am all kind-hearted, and besides, Uncle Wen wanted to buy me a piano, it was all on his own initiative, and I didn't force him, how can you take it? I'm to blame for this kind of thing? Wen Qiao, aren't we friends? Wen Qiao looked at her indifferently. Su Lu was a seemingly non-aggressive person with superb methods. In her previous life, she had no defense against Su Lu's deliberate approach. She even listened to her brainwashing and did not go to college. Now it seems that Su Lu approached her with bad intentions from the very beginning, she was just deceived by that harmless face. We've never been friends. Wen Qiao's voice was so cold that Su Lu trembled a little. So, stop pretending to be a good person in front of me and disgusting me. Do you understand? It's between me and my dad. You're an outsider, so don't meddle in it. What's wrong? The boy standing behind Su Lu was Zhuang Yan. Zhuang Yan is handsome, his family is rich, and his grades are excellent. He is a man of the hour in 9th middle school. It was the age of 17 or 18 when love first started, and Wen Qiao had also been tempted by him. Su Lu urged her to write a love letter, and she wrote a love letter carefully and sincerely. A girl as beautiful as Wen Qiao, who is almost coquettish, has always had a bad reputation in high school. Even though she has never been in a relationship, she has been rumored to be improper in her private life, chaotic style and so on. Kind of rumor. Zhuang Yan knew her from rumors, made a conclusion for her, and decided that she was that kind of person. Regarding her liking, he said indifferently. Wen Qiao. She deserves it too. Afterwards, she casually threw her love letter into the trash can. The troublemaker dug out her love letter and posted it on the school bulletin board. Every word full of emotion from the girl became a weapon used by those people to hurt her. Wen Qiao couldn't escape ridicule wherever she went. The love letter written in the 2nd year of high school, the whole school laughed at her for a year. She became the biggest laughing stock of 9th high school. Looking at it now, the boy is tall and handsome, but he is too ruthless. How could she feel sad for such a heartless person for a whole year? Not worth it. As soon as Su Lu saw Zhuang Yan, 2 lines of tears came, and Lu Yuyu snorted lightly, why do you want to take the exam for Yanjian? Why don't you go to the Yang Opera, don't waste such a good acting skill. Su Lu played the piano and Zhuang Yan played the violin. Whenever there were any school activities, the two would perform together. Everyone thinks that they are a pair of talented men and beautiful women. Sulu quickly wiped away her tears. I'm fine, it's none of Wen Qiao's business. If it was in the past, Wen Qiao would have been eager to explain if she was worried that Zhuang Yan would misunderstand, but now, her heart is calm, and misunderstandings are misunderstandings. She no longer cares about Zhuang Yan's opinion. Lu Yuyu sneered, don't cry, is the inner eyeliner waterproof or not? The makeup is going to be blurred. Zhuang Yan frowned, his light eyes swept over Wen Qiao's face. Wen Qiao held Lu Yuyu's arm indifferently, let's go quickly. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 17. Zhuang Yan said lightly, let's go too. He didn't mean to ask what was going on. If he didn't ask, Sulu wouldn't be able to talk to himself before blaming Wen Qiao. She was just wondering, why did Wen Qiao seem to be a different person? What she is most afraid of is that Wen Qiao will enter the Central Conservatory of Music with her. She is afraid that Wen Qiao's brilliance will overshadow her after she arrives at a higher education institution. Thanks to the collapse, she didn't even know what went wrong. In the lecture theater, Wen Qiao carefully checked the big characters filled in the ID number, student number, and first choice column. She only filled out one application, the Central Music Department of Folk Music, and she was determined to win it. Lu Yuyu's first choice was Yang Yin, her second choice was Hong Kong City Conservatory of Music, and her third choice was Xinghai Conservatory of Music. The level of authority gradually decreased, because she was not sure that she could be admitted to Yanjian in one fell swoop, so she had to give herself a way out. Wen Qiao and the others were sitting by the window of the lecture theater. Outside, a camphor tree grew to block out the sun, and the sunlight shone through the shade on the desks. She had already filled out the application form, turning the pen in her hand, waiting for Lu Yuyu boredly. As far as the eye can see, there are Zhuang Yan and Sulu sitting in the second row. Sulu leans over to Zhuang Yan from time to time. Her smile and demeanor are the standards that have been trained thousands of times in front of the mirror, and she is carefully and proudly ladylike. Wen Qiao thought, how could she be Sulu's opponent in front of Zhuang Yan? Sulu asked her to write a love letter, just to make her look ugly. She used to be a fan of the authorities, but now she can see from the outside, she was really tricked by Sulu. But Zhuang Yan suddenly turned his head back, as if he sensed that someone was watching him from behind. Wen Qiao met his gaze casually without dodging. Zhuang Yan, on the other hand, looked at him twice, was defeated, and looked away. Sulu noticed it and looked back at Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao's smile was somewhat playful. Seeing the charming laziness made Sulu startled. She turned her head and whispered, hey, I'm really worried about the relationship between Wen Qiao and Uncle Wen. What happened to them? 2 days ago, Wen Qiao went to Wen's house and made a big fuss, which made Uncle Wen angry. I kindly advised Uncle Wen not to be angry. Uncle Wen was willing to give in, but Wen Qiao didn't know how to respond. It's a bit of a nonsense. What's wrong with her? She came to ask Uncle Su for money, and the first thing she said was 2 million. She was very righteous, and she spoke, quite aggressively. Zhuang Yan put on the cap of his pen and glanced at her with a blank expression on his face, unable to tell what he was thinking. Sulu brushed her hair casually, and bit the corner of her mouth lightly. I didn't mean to speak ill of people behind their backs, but Wen Qiao's attitude that day was indeed not very good. That's her father, there's nothing wrong with asking for money. Sulu's pupils trembled. Is Zhuang Yan speaking for Wen Qiao? Since she was a child, she was used to observing words and expressions, and she knew that if she continued to criticize Wen Qiao at this time, it would only tarnish her own image, so she hurriedly said, well, so I'm also helping her convince Uncle Wen, but she seems to have misunderstood me. Zhuang Yan said lightly, have you filled it out? Can you hand it in after you fill it out? Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu passed by their table. Wen Qiao's eyes no longer followed him, and after letting go of some people in his heart, he felt a lot easier. Now she just wants to change her own destiny and raise her two younger brothers well, so she doesn't think about love affairs. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 18. We ate in the school cafeteria at noon, and wherever Wen Qiao went, there must be all kinds of pointing behind his back. Those people really took the trouble to laugh at her with the love letter she wrote. You come to the world for a while, you want to see the sun, walk on the street with your sweetheart, wow, Heise's poems, quote from classics. You are the breeze and bright moon on Iri Ridge, illuminating my gloomy life with no end in sight. Wow, you have a great literary talent. It's a pity not to participate in the composition competition. Joking sarcasm was mixed with malicious laughter. In the past year, thanks to Zhuang Yan, she walked in every corner of the school and experienced the same taunts. She is used to it. Lu Yuyu put down the dinner plate heavily, gritted her teeth and roared at those people, humming, "You guys can't finish." Those people laughed and acted like birds and beasts. Wen Qiao pulled Lu Yuyu back, "Eat, eat, you are angry with those people, don't you piss yourself off." Lu Yuyu was so angry that she slapped the table. "Sulu is cheap, Zhuang Yan is even cheaper, if he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you, why should he ruin your sincerity?" Wen Qiao patted her head, "Okay, I put it all down, and it will be a brand new life from now on, we don't worry about people who are not worth it, huh." Lu Yuyu was so angry that she slapped the table. In order to distract her, Wen Qiao said, "Yuyu, if someone asks you about me recently, asking me if I have a relationship with a man named Fu Nanli, just say you know, but you don't know the details, do you understand?" After taking a sip of the soup, Lu Yuyu made a poof sound. Luckily, Wen Qiao was quick and spilled all the soup on the seat. Wen Qiao quickly took out a tissue and wiped her mouth. Lu Yuyu grabbed her hand, "Fu Nanli? I've heard of it. He's the only heir to the Fu's consortium, and he's a handsome guy who is firmly in the top spot in the aviation industry. You with him? It's a long story, and I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, if someone asks you, you should answer as I said." After the meal, Lu Yuyu pestered her all the way. At the entrance of the convenience store, each of them was holding a cup of milk tea. Wen Qiao took a sip, and roughly described her past 2 days in the most concise words. Of course, she didn't mention the matter of rebirth, she only said that someone suddenly seemed to be saying in her mind, "You must stay by Fu Nanli's side, or you will die." Lu Yuyu bit a popping pearl, her eyes lit up, "This is the legendary destiny. I have never met Fu Nanli, but he has a very good reputation in the upper class circle. He is cold and mysterious, not close to women. With beauty and money, all the famous ladies in Hong Kong City are secretly competing to see who can be the top lady Fu, never would have thought that this is cheap, and it falls to you." Wen Qiao's mind was full of thoughts, the day he regained his memory, my reputation was ruined. Lu Yuyu patted her on the shoulder, "Maybe Fu Xiao will really fall in love with you by then, don't panic." At 1:30 in the afternoon, there were some spectators scattered in the small auditorium with a round stage that could accommodate 200 people. There are only 12 students in the 9th middle school who are qualified for interviews. Several professors from Central Music are lined up in order, and the staff is setting up the stage. On the side screen of the round stage, Wen Qiao saw Wen Jianmin, Zhonghui, and Wen Xian entering the small auditorium in decent clothes. They were seated in the third row. Obviously, her father was here to cheer for Sulu. Because her mother was busy with work, she didn't want her to toss back and forth, and she didn't tell her mother about the performance, so no one came to see her performance. The light on the dome of the small auditorium slowly dimmed, and a teacher behind her called her name, "Wen Qiao, your number plate is 12, and you will be the last performer." Wen Qiao was about to turn around when he saw the back door of the auditorium open, and a tall and familiar figure entered. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 19. Wen Qiao thought he had misread it, but after a closer look, it turned out to be Fu Nanli. He was wearing a haute couture suit, with wide shoulders, narrow waist and long legs. At the Jacey booth, her heart was beating thumping along with his footsteps. He randomly picked an empty seat and sat down, adjusted his cuffs, crossed his long legs, like a wealthy businessman watching a jewelry show in the first row, his eyes wandering carelessly. The lights of the dome dimmed, as if there were stars all over his head, and the man's timeless facial features appeared even more profound and superior. Contemptuous comments came from behind Wen Qiao. Pipa? I also want to enter the Yanjian. In my opinion, these are the art of Tianqiao, which is similar to the Erhu. I'm begging for a special instrument. It's really whimsical to want to enter the Yanjian. Wen Qiao picked up her pipa, adjusted the strings, glanced at Sulu's best friend Zhao Tong, and said coldly, the quintessence of Chinese folk music is so despised by you, and you were wronged by letting you grow up in this country. Since you are so wronged, why did you apply for Yang Yin? Why didn't you apply for the Berkeley Conservatory of Music? Is it because you couldn't get into Berkeley? Zhao Tong gritted his teeth. Do you have any control over which school I apply for? Do you think how many people are studying folk music now? It's something that is difficult to be considered elegant. Wen Qiao adjusted the strings and fiddled with them a few times. In 1936, Franco launched a coup and seized power. The cellist, Mr. Casals, the originator of your cello, interrupted all performing arts activities and protested against the Franco authorities. He is a peaceful lover, but you are so militant. If he sees that the cello players of the future generations distinguish music by high and low, he should think that you are not worthy of playing the cello. Zhao Tong choked and couldn't reply a single word. Only then did Sulu come out to smooth things over. Don't talk about it, Tong Tong. Western music and folk music each have their own highlights. We still have to support the quintessence of Chinese music. Lu Yuya pulled Wen Qiao to the side, and snorted softly, pretend, don't talk to her, let's practice again. Zhao Tong and Sulu had a dedicated practice room. Zhao Tong gritted his teeth and said, Lulu, why are you dragging me? Folk music is hard to get into the elegant hall, and most of those who take the folk music department are not professional enough. If you go to another department and adjust it, what are they dragging? A pipa player is showing off his power in front of us who play the cello and piano. It really pissed me off. Sulu patted her on the shoulder. Forget it, if there is a big quarrel, if the interview qualification is disqualified, wouldn't the gain outweigh the loss? Zhao Tong snorted lightly. Our family has invested in Yanjian students to hold concerts. How can it be possible that the interview qualifications will be cancelled? If they want to be cancelled, they will only cancel Wen Qiao's. There should be a big trouble just now. Sulu naturally didn't want to fight, but just now Zhuang Yan had been leaning on the doorframe and watching quietly. She had always been a gentle and demure persona. If she didn't persuade her, she was afraid that Zhuang Yan would think too much. It's just that it's cheaper for Wen Qiao. Someone behind him persuaded Zhao Tong, let Wen Qiao perform. I heard that 2 of the 3 professors today are not very interested in folk music. She definitely won't be able to get an A. The interview levels are divided into S level, A level, B level and C level. S level is the highest, and only those who get A level and above can successfully enter the central music. Zhao Tong finally relieved his anger. That's right, she definitely won't pass the interview. Let's try to appreciate the art of begging in a while. It's really hard for everyone's ears. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 20. Zhuangyan was the first to play. His violin has already reached the 9th grade of the central tone standard. Naturally, he passed the interview at this level with ease, and he won the S grade on the stage. Sulu was the penultimate performer. She played the second chapter of Beethoven's Piano Sonata No. 4 in E-flat major. At the end of the song, all three judges gave grade A. Sulu was a little disappointed. She thought she could get S, but A could also enter the central music. When Jianmin held the venue and applauded, and Zhonghui handed over the bouquet in his hands, Jianmin, go and present flowers. When Jianmin didn't refuse either. Holding a bouquet, he walked to the front of the stage. Sulu walked to the side of the stage with a smile, and slightly bowed her head to accept a large bouquet of lilies. Thank you, Uncle Wen. This scene naturally fell into the eyes of Wen Qiao, who was standing on the side screen and was about to go on stage. Wen Qiao exhaled, trying not to let his emotions be affected by them. Wen Jianmin has treated her stepdaughter better than her own daughter for decades. She has long been used to it, so it's no big deal. Wen Jianmin touched Sulu's head, and his eyes were full of approval. You play very well. I saw the examiners and professors nodding frequently. Uncle Wen is proud of you. Sulu smiled shyly, holding a bouquet, and passed the side curtain with the person carrying the piano off the stage. She paused and looked at Wen Qiao with a smile. Uncle Wen probably prepared a bouquet for you, don't worry. Wen Qiao glanced at her coolly, his eyes seemed to say, do you think I'd be curious? Sulu gritted her teeth, and walked into the backstage holding flowers in displeasure. Wen Qiao walked to the center of the stage and sat on a chair. The light slowly came on, and her slender fingers lightly placed on the strings of the pipa. She performed the well-known pipa song Ambush from 10 Sides, and her emotions were ignited at the beginning. The fingering combination of buckle, wipe, flick, wipe vividly demonstrated the mighty style of soldiers. The last section of July Mountain Battle depicts the life and death fight between the two armies. The sound of horseshoes, swords, and knives hitting each other's ears immediately attracted the three judges in the audience, as well as Fu Nanli. He sat there, quietly looking at the girl on the stage. The soft twilight light enveloped her. She was wearing a white dress, with a delicate figure and a beautiful face. She was immersed in her music world, firmly grasping the viewers and judges. In the side scene, Sulu was standing beside Zhuangyan and could see his gaze. Ever since Wen Qiao came on stage, Zhuangyan had kept this posture, looking at Wen Qiao all the time. This made her feel very uneasy, even though the whole school thought that she and Zhuangyan were talented and attractive, but Zhuangyan never said that he liked her. And she, being a lady, couldn't take the initiative to pursue a boy like Wen Qiao did. When Wen Qiao's song ended, the aftertaste was long, stirring, and hearty. The judges whispered to each other. Sulu clenched her fists. She hoped it was a B grade. She didn't want Wen Qiao to be in the same school as her and Zhuangyan. Yang Yin wouldn't be able to get into it, but Wen Qiao could get into Hin. The blood in Wen Qiao's whole body seemed to be boiling. After finishing, his fingertips trembled slightly. When he looked up, he saw Fu Nanli getting up and walking over. He was still holding a bunch of flowers in his hand. Wearing a suit, he has a very strong retro aura. When he approached her step by step like this, he looked like a well-educated noble son who returned from studying abroad in the Republic of China, proud and mysterious. When he walked to the edge of the stage, Wen Qiao got up, lifted her skirt slightly, and walked towards him with a smile. What he holds in his hand is a white rose. The flower language is innocence and purity. She bowed her head to pick up the flowers in his hand. The girls on the side screen were instantly blown away. Who is that, so handsome? It's a star, after all, he is so handsome and tall.